A reading from the prophet Isaiah. On this mountain, the Lord of hosts will make for all people a feast of rich food, a feast of well-aged wines, of rich food filled with myrrh, and of well-aged wines strained clear. And he will destroy on this mountain the shroud that is cast over all peoples, the sheet that is spread over all nations. He will swallow up death forever. Then the Lord God will wipe away the tears from all faces, and the disgrace of his people he will take away from the earth. For the Lord has spoken. And it will be said on that day, Lo, this is our God. We have waited for him so that he might save us. This is the Lord for whom we have waited. Let us be glad and rejoice in his salvation.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not be in want.
He makes me lie down in green pastures, and leads me beside still waters.
He revives my soul and guides me along right paths for his name's sake.
Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff they comfort me.
You spread a table before me in the presence of those who trouble me. You have anointed my head with oil, and my cup is running over.
Surely your goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
We will now have the second reading.
A reading from the first letter of John. See what love the Father has given us, that we should be called children of God, and that is what we are. The reason the world does not know us is that it did not know him. Beloved, we are God's children now. What we will has not yet been revealed. What we do know is this: when he is revealed, we will be like him, for we shall see him as he is. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Today we gather to give thanks for and celebrate the life of father, grandfather, husband, friend, and brother in faith, Vincent John Wallace Jr. I want his family to know that Vince was a faithful, beloved member of his church for most of his life. He was well-liked and he was loved. Everyone enjoyed his gentle spirit and his charm and his very disarming smile. When Vince would go along with the joke with the best of us, we already missed him. For us, though, the living, the scripture readings of life and death, judgment, and eternity are real and close at hand. The death of a loved one opens one person's heart to looking at our own lives and our own mortality in ways we might not have for quite some time. But this is where our faith sustains us, encourages, and comforts us. I'd like to share 2 points that are important to remember today. First, as we say in the Church's statements of faith known as the Creed, we believe that Christ is eternally seated at the right hand of God the Father. He overcame the dread and dark power of death by his resurrection, and he passes on to us eternal life, even though we die in our physical bodies. And in doing so, he became our Savior and our Redeemer. And we can go to Jesus in the confidence that he will comfort us and embrace us as we cast all our cares, worries, stress, and grief upon him. He who lived and died as a human being like one of us, knowing the pain and sorrows and frustrations of human life, is a refuge and strength to all who put their trust in him. Jesus is not dead, but alive, and having overcome the grave, pain, and sorrow, he is the wounded healer for all who put their trust in him. And second, as we heard in the Gospel of John, anyone who comes to me I will never drive away. It is God's all-encompassing love that will draw all people to God and to eternal life with God, in a place where there is no war, no suffering, no sorrow, pain, sickness, or heartache. And that is what Vince is now experiencing. He has earned his eternal freedom. Jesus says elsewhere in John chapter 5, anyone who hears my word and believes him who sent me has eternal life and does not come under judgment, but has passed from death to life. Not when we die, but now when we believe. I don't know about you, but that gives me comfort. I don't come under judgment when I die because I believe and embrace that faith now. Rather, my spirit, my soul will live on even after my body has given up. But to be perfectly honest, for those of us who are here alive, the question to ask is not, are you prepared to die? The question to ask is, are you prepared to live? Jesus also said, I've come that they might have life and might have it more abundantly. He meant while we're still living here. He wants us to really live to the fullness of God's intention for us. Are you prepared to live as a beloved child of God? Are you living abundantly? I think Vince knew how to live abundantly. He lived a full life as a loving husband, father, and a determined, energetic, and joyful volunteer in the community, the church, and for the country he loved and served. He knew God and God's Son, Jesus, and was faithful. He was baptized and received the Eucharist in the church, and he attended church services practically every Sunday morning. The only time he missed was if Patricia wasn't feeling particularly well. One thing I know deep within my soul, and that is that Vince is happy and in peace and smiling down on us today with that charming little smile of his. Somehow, I imagine his wanting his beloved family and friends to remember him with joy and perhaps even a wry sense of humor. Vince is with the Lord, and all the beloved family members and friends who have gone before him. He and Fred Doty are probably comparing notes about their military service. But that's why we feel mourn as those who have no faith. And that is why, as we celebrate resurrected life for Vince, we also have confidence in knowing that we will one day join him. And that is why in the midst of our sorrow and grief we can say, Alleluia, Alleluia, Alleluia. Amen.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out today. What a man. What a life. An astounding number of accomplishments, an astronomical number of friends, an untold number of lives touched, a lifetime of giving, a lifetime of helping, a lifetime of doing, a lifetime of leadership, a life well lived with nary a wasted moment, a life exemplified by honesty, integrity, accountability, and standing for a cause. a life lived humbly, countless acts of kindness, countless acts of charity, countless acts of service to the community. Dad neither sought credit nor notoriety, and he never asked for anything in return. And that was my dad. But he also lived a lifetime of fun. He loved to fly, first in a Piper J3C Cub as a very young man, then as a skydiver in the mid-1970s, then as a hot air balloon pilot in the late 70s to mid-80s. The very first day he taught me to drive, he had me drive over to a small airport in Greene County where we took flight in a glider. He taught himself to ski when he was 50 years old. Imagine that, 50 years old. That's when most people start slowing down. And if he taught us kids anything, it was how to have fun at an amusement park, especially a roller coaster. No hands at all on that roller coaster, except, of course, to hold on to his Campbell's pork and beans hat so it wouldn't fly off. He loved sailing. He loved the New York Yankees. And he loved to hate the New York Yankees when they weren't winning. He loved American history. He loved local history. Heck, he just loved history. And he loved his family. And being a typical Scotsman, that love was not always easily communicated. About 17 years ago, I had to have surgery to remove a tumor on the nerve that goes from the ear into the brain on my left side. I was living in Brooklyn at the time, and Dad and Mom came down for the surgery and to help me out afterwards. A couple of months later, I was talking to my doorman, Mr. Kennedy. He asked how my dad was doing because, just like Dad, he and Dad struck up a good friendship in the time my parents had come to stay with me. Mr. Kennedy was Dominican, and he spoke with a Spanish accent. "Your father loves you, Mr. Tim," he said. "Oh, yeah, I know," I said. Mr. Kennedy grabbed my arm, and he said, "No, Mr. Tim, your father loves you. I've seen all kinds of parents come and go visiting their children in this building. Your father loves you. He really loves you." And he thumped his chest like that. And that was my dad. A tough veneer on the outside, but scratch the surface just a little, and you'd find great depths of love and compassion and knowledge. So, join me, if you will, in a final salute to this man we have all been blessed to know and love. Godspeed, Dad. Looking forward to talking to you soon. I'll bring the coffee if you drive your Jeep.
I remember when I was 15, back, it was around 1973. It was at that point that my dad used to ask me a lot, "What are you going to do for a living?" And I really didn't know at first, but when it came to me that I wanted to go into radio, I saved that information for the next time he asked me. That happened to be while he was driving a car. Okay. After he was told, we barely kept it on the road, but he worked with me, and 44 years later, I think it's kind of worked out all right. Over my 44 years, I've done a lot of requests and dedications, and this will probably be the hardest one that I'll have to do, but what I'm about to play is dedicated to my dad.
Cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take
And he did that on a regular basis after me. And one day I was walking by and he was dead, and I smelled a carnation, which is my favorite flower. And the flowers so pretty, and he put out his hand and he handed it to me. And I think that was very much stuff, and it just got hurt.
Vince Wallace was the true meaning of a gentleman. He was a good friend, and he always supported me in the fire department and some other endeavors I got involved in. But the most I remember is him calling and inviting me and Don Alger to ride in his Jeep during the Veterans Parade. A couple days later, I guess he got a hold of Lance Wheeler and brought me a framed picture of Don, myself, and Vince in his Jeep. I'll treasure it forever.
Anyone else?
As a fellow veteran, I know that Vince is very dedicated to our servicemen and women, and he's done an excellent job preserving our GAR section in the Hudson City Cemetery for many countless years. It took a lot of pride and hard work to keep that site looking as nice as it is today. He'll be truly missed for the dedication that he gave to our veterans.
We have time for one more.
I'm just going to say a few words for our church family here at Christ Church. He was a humble man. When I saw that article in the paper, I couldn't believe of all that he has done and where he has been. To know him on a Sunday when he was here to take the flowers to people that were sick, sometimes he had to go east, west, north, south, but he went, and he was here faithfully. I don't think he missed many Sundays that impact me anymore. He will be missed. We truly love him. And we thank him. And his name.
I spent a few years on the school board here in Hudson, and some years were more raucous than others, some meetings more raucous than others, but one thing I always knew when I saw Vince Wallace come to a meeting, I knew the reinforcements were there.